typefaces, right? And how they are differentiated, what makes them different. So the first thing we talked about were the type of typefaces we have. Now the three major ones are sans serif, serif, and script, right? But you can have others, which is also serif, sans serif, display, handwritten, and monospace. So we explained that serif fonts, what make them serif fonts are their small decorative line, right? These extra lines here that they have, the extra lines, you notice it in most of their letters, right? Like let's go closer to serif. You can see there's an extra line, a line, extra flourish at the edge, right? So that is how you know a serif font. And a good example is Times New Roman. You can find others like Canimbra. Uh, there's a whole lot of them, right? But when you see them, for you to identify a serif font, is the extra decorative line. So we need to know this because some brands will tell you we need you to use a serif font. And let's say you go for an interview and they said use a serif font. Let's see what you can do with a serif font. And you don't even know what a serif font is, how to identify serif font. That way you failed already. All right. So why sans serif fonts are just plain. They are just plain, no extra strokes, right? So they do not have flourishes, they are just plain. And we said that they are good for body, right? For the body of a design, of a body of design, because it is more legible. People can read it easily. You can see the font and know exactly what the font is. And then we have the script font, right? Script font, they are mostly coily, just like this, coily and stylish most times. Then we also talk about the display, that they are bold and large size fonts. So they are mostly used for like headers, mostly used for like flyers when they want to make like the name of the program, the name of whatever you're doing. Those kind of fonts can be used. All right. Uh, we now tilted towards handwritten fonts. Who's that? Wow. Daniela, you are playing Sporty Bet. Please mute your mic. Nobody wants to follow you and play Sporty Bet. All right. We're talking about handwritten. See, as the term suggests, look like written by hand. So it looked like somebody is writing it with hands, right? So when you see those kind of fonts, they look as if somebody wrote them. So that's why we call them. We can specify them under handwritten. And monospace, we said the characters are equally spaced, right? So you see like equal space in between them, space in between them. So if you have a small space here, another one is here, same amount of space here, same amount of space here. So these are the classes of fonts. Then we showed you example of them, and we said the serif font example can be Times New Roman, right? That is their names. So the Times New Roman font can be a serif font, right? Then under the serif font, we now have a font family where you can now differentiate them between just being regular or being italicized regular, and then being bold or italicized bold. Now, most of these fonts come in this way. So that's why we now say a font family, because in a particular design, we are allowed to use at most two fonts. Two fonts is allowed. And it's not just anyhow fonts that rhymes, right? Like we said, sans serif is good for body because it is more legible. So it wouldn't be correct to go and be using the script font to type a biography of somebody. It will be very hard for people to understand and see what is written there, right? So script font most times they are mostly used alongside serif font. Let's say maybe you're designing a wedding card, right? So you want to write the bride's name and that. You can use a script font, right? Accompanied by a serif font, or a script font accompanied by a sans serif font, right? Then also if you're working on, let's say, of a poster or a flyer, you can mix up a sans serif font with a display font, meaning that the display font will be so big and the sans serif font will be used as other little other parts of the design. Then we gave also display. And we also said that script font most times don't have font family, right? Like this one is script empty bold, right? So I think I didn't download the full family pack. Also, you might find the other families like just script empty, just script empty straight or script empty italics, right? So then we have Tribon, which is also a display font. Like you can see, it's font family, the regular and the bold. Then we have the handwritten one and monospace. So with this guideline, you'll be able to know whenever you see a font, you say, oh, this is the serif font, this is a sans serif font, this is a script font. Let's see, before our class ends, the last day of the class, we might give like a test, right? So I might use that as the exams, or maybe on that day, for those who are opportunity to have a laptop, you have to connect and share your screen and just design something and submit. So let's see before our end of the class and the type of pace you guys use in learning. I like the pace already, Sha. Then we now had to talk about layout in design. So we applied all we learned in uh, font, typography, and effective layout. As you can see, in this particular design, the font that was used throughout is just one single font, which is Gilroy. Uh, Gilroy, which is the name of the brand of the font. You can download fonts if you don't have this font. Just Google Gilroy and you'll be able to download them. Maybe I'll show you how to download fonts before we close, or just watch this. So to get a font, maybe you have the font name, just type Gilroy. This is Gilroy, right? Two free fonts to download. So some websites have the full pack, some have only one, right? So just visit any of the sites. This is the full family pack. So you are giving the lights and the extra code out for free. Some websites have everything like that font free. So you click download and you get the whole pack. All right. Then when you're done, you unzip it and install it by just tapping it. By just tapping it and it installs into your computer. So let me go to my downloads. I think I downloaded a font yesterday. Don't worry about that. So I said we were talking about layout in design yesterday, how to arrange your design properly. We used balance, alignment, and hierarchy, contrast, proximity, uh, unity, repetition. You can find all those in what we said in our previous classes in the notes, or you can check the YouTube channel. So I shared. Let me open our their YouTube channel. So look at this. We had like it wasn't like 22 views. Now I don't know how you are viewing. I told you that when you should also make your comments like questions there. I can respond. And also, I can only have 22 views and nobody subscribed. It doesn't make sense. So I won't make more videos because if you're making more videos, there's no point in that. So if you can see in this account, there are a lot of videos that you can watch, right? Look at this mock-up design mastery, elevate your brand identity designing, brand essentials, logo designing. So every class we are going to get into is already here, right? Like introduction to graphic design. This was like 4 months ago. So in case we didn't record them, you can go here and watch them, right? Now, color theory that we are teaching today is what we did here, what we did in this particular video. So you can check just make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you will get notifications of when a new video has been dropped, even after you have left after these 2 weeks. So that when I make new videos, you know, okay, there's a new video on the account, right? But we have 22 views, but if those 22 persons subscribe, this would have gone up to like 99 viewers. So please, right now, you can click on the link and subscribe for many persons that are here. So we said effective layout would make a design arranged properly. And one of the best ways to know about that is about proximity. So whatever is placed together in a particular place, they are perceived to be related, right? So we have here at the top, we have our logo. Then the social media accounts, everything was placed together with the hashtags, right? Because they are all representing social media. Then we have present, and we applied what here? We applied what we learned about scanning and tracking, creating spaces between individual characters, right? So that was what we did here. And to achieve that, we used our shape tool. There's no point doing this because it's in the video yesterday, so you can see it there also. So we created a space between the text using the scanning and tracking. Then for our main subject of the design, we talked about hierarchy, which is about making the most important aspect of the design, which is the theme of the design, as big as possible to attract the attention of the viewer. Instead of just using a regular Gilroy, we went for extra bold. So, like it says here, a display font, they are usually bold and large sized. So there are some fonts that have that ability to also have display display font like extra bold or even heavy. So that was why we used them for the header so that once the viewer sees it, it draw their attention. Then we created an extra box here to have contrast in shape. Registration is free. Then where the speakers are, they are separate, and outside attractions. Then also here we applied another which is called tracking, which we said tracking is the spacing in between group of characters. So these free HD pictures are a particular character, right? So the spacing we made in between them is what we call tracking, right? So the one in between the text, individual text is called kenning, and spacing between each character is called tracking. So we had to apply all this and created the same flyer but with different layouts. All right. So if you're not in the class when we designed this, the video I've been sent yesterday, and you can check out how I did it. All right. So for today, let's get into today's class. Today we'll be talking about what we call color theory. Color theory, and for that we'll be using the website I want us to visit. Adobe Color. Yeah, so when you start Adobe Color, you see this at the top. Click it, Adobe Color Palette Generator. I did you have two devices, but if you don't have two devices and you're watching with just your phone, you can just watch my screen and see what I'm doing. So I have an account with them, so I'm going to just log in. All right. So please pay key attention. So we'll be explaining colors and color wave. So I'll be coming back to check if you guys are still here. But at the moment, if you have a question as the class is going on, don't wait until time has gone. You can open your mic and speak, or just type in chat box. I'll come in there and here's your chat box and read your messages and see what you want me to do. All right. So understanding color theory. So what is color theory? From the word color and theory. So if you were a science student in school, you have when we talk about hypothesis, theory, and when you now put it into practical. Right? So it is the theory behind colors. Now this one has passed all the levels. It has been practicalized, and we know how color will work, but we're still calling it the color theory. So definition, understanding what color theory is. So color theory is a field of study that explores how colors interact, right? So we don't just, like I said, that was the reason I was complaining yesterday about the colors that those my friends were using for their assignment. I wanted them to use the colors I chose because those colors work together, right? So when you start understanding color theory, you know that it's not just any color you just use, right? There are some colors that speak about technology. There's some colors that speak about food. There's some colors that speak about love. There are colors that speak about death, whatsoever, even luxury. There are colors that speak about each one. All right. So color theory is a field of study that explores how colors interact, relate, and influence our perception. Right. So you wouldn't know it on unknowingly when you go to a grocery store to get something. You wouldn't know, but unknowingly by the color, you might just buy something that you were not intending to buy, just because of how the colors they selected, right? So sometimes when people use black, completely black for a product, let's say food item, you might not really be drawn towards buying it unless it has been advertised on your screen, placed on your screen, and you know what's in the content. But when you go to a mall to get something, and the kind of colors that were used for the packaging were like red and yellow and a bit of green, so shiny. Without even knowing, you would want to go forward to see what is really in this package. All right. So colors, in kind of a way, they interact with us, they relate, and they influence our perception. If you're working on a lonely farm and you see some protection and you see they painted on the wall red and black and they wrote danger. In fact, the man never write danger, only that red and black alone. You know that okay, this one is danger. Or maybe in Lagos, most times when they were trying to like break a lot of houses, those guys will come and just paint red cross on your wall, and you know that thing have been marked for danger. If they mark green, people will say, "Who did this?" Right? So colors influence our perception. So it's a fundamental component of graphic design that helps us to create visually and appealing and meaningful compositions. Now, you might have learned how to, okay, Joshua said your design needs to be arranged, shouldn't use one or two or more fonts. Now you have done that, but now your colors is looking like a rainbow flag. That one is also an issue. All right. So if you practice how to use colors, and the only way you can practice how to use colors is by collecting designs, being in the design community. That was why I sent that Nigeria graphic design group. Now I don't know how many persons have joined yet, but if you have not joined, go back to the WhatsApp group. The link is there. Join, and you would see how designers use different kinds of colors and what kind of colors works. Right. So when you see those things, with the little skill you have gathered over the while, how to draw a box, how to draw a circle. You try in recreating what they have done. It might look very, you might not download the hard flyers, simple flyers, or even though you can't go there, you visit Pinterest, download their own flyers and try replicating them. Right. So when you try replicating them, you will get used to using the right kind of colors, the right kind of colors, and before you know, it will now become a part of you. But if you wait every day for just this our 2 hours class and assignments you don't do, you might just be wasting your time and it wouldn't make sense that way. So join those groups, send friend requests, like their posts. Because when you like a post, Facebook keep bringing it up on your TikTok, on your Instagram, wherever you find yourself, join design communities so that you will be seeing good design. Because when you are seeing them, it starts becoming part of you. Because if you don't see, you wouldn't know the difference between a good design and a bad design. I mean, Nigerian graphic designers group on WhatsApp, and if you see what these guys are posting, totally awful designs, and they'll be posting fire for themselves. Yeah, you did mad, you did crazy. Now the reason is because most of the designs will not be approved on the Facebook group, right? So when you start being among mediocre people, right, and seeing the same kind of design, you will not get better. So you need to like be amongst where people will criticize what you do, see what you do. Not that you say upon all the effort the guy put inside, you say he do nonsense. No, is because the person is trying to push you, right? Trying to push you to like make better designs instead of what you're doing. But you at that point, you're not realizing. If I show you my first designs, you might even reach out saying, "Wow, what?" I will not be proud to show anybody my first designs right now, compared to what I am making now. And it will also get to a point where the designs I'm making currently now, I might not even really like them again in the future, right? Because I keep exposing myself to better designs. All right. So now to explain the color theory, we would have to use what we call a color wheel. Right. So what is a color wheel? As you can see on your screen already, we have a color wheel. So it's kind of like a circle, right? So the color wheel is a visual representation of the color spectrum, right? Of the color spectrum. So if you did physics in school, you understand color spectrum when we're talking about colors, how colors are made from light, right? How the light bulb is mixed from different colors. So let's say from the sun. There's how you look at the sun sometimes. You might see white, you might see yellow, you might see orange. Sometimes you might even see a red sun, right? So this is what makes up the color wheel. So the color wheel is a visual representation of the color spectrum, showing all the colors that is in the color spectrum. Now, a circular representation of colors showing how they relate to each other. All right. So inside of this color wheel is divided into three, which is the primary colors, secondary colors, and the tertiary colors. All right. So even in primary school, you would have heard about primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. All right. So the primary colors is made up of just red, yellow, and blue. Red, yellow, and blue, or you can say yellow, red, and blue, whatsoever one. Red, yellow, and blue. Then we have the secondary colors, which is green, orange, and purple. Now, how do these secondary colors come to be? These secondary colors are created by mixing the primary colors. All right. So if we should mix red and blue, it's going to give us green. Right. So if this red and this blue is mixed to give us this green, right? Red and blue would give us green. All right. So secondary colors are created by the mixture of the primary colors. And also, if we should mix red and yellow, it's going to give us orange. So you can see the line. So if this red and yellow is joined, the triangle is pointing to orange. The same thing with red and blue, the triangle is pointing towards green. Then finally, by mixing blue and red, we will now get purple, or you can say violet, whatever name you want to call it. All right. So then, what are tertiary colors? Tertiary colors are also mixtures. So now, when you now mix yellow and green, you're going to add yellow green. All right, yellow green. You mix yellow and orange, you have yellow orange. So they might be looking like yellow and you might be looking like orange. This is where problem now starts coming. Let's say you are designing for the client and you ask the client, what is the color you're using? And they said orange. So you're using orange that you thought is orange. But when you now print the file, let's say you work for someone that needs to print, the orange you are using is not orange. It's not looking like the orange that the person wants. There will be an issue there. That means wasted effort, wasted printout, and you have to pay for it. Right. So that is where something that makes the design easy, which is called X codes. I've not gotten there yet, but today we're going to talk about X codes also, because X codes gives you the actual color of a particular design. All right. So when you mix all these secondary colors together or primary colors together, you will get tertiary colors. Right. So you see, if I mix a primary yellow and a secondary orange, I will get a tertiary yellow orange. Right. So the same way you have red violet, blue green, and yellow green. Also, the color wheel is divided into two. All right. So in this world, whatever brand you are, all brands are divided into two. Either you are on the warm colors or you are on the cool colors. So let's say most of uh, fire, cooking, most of those colors will definitely fall under the warm colors, right? And if we're talking about tech, which has to do with blue, maybe recycling, like green, about nature, right? Then purple, those ones will fall under cool colors. So The warm colors are red, orange, and yellow, while our cool colors are green, blue, and purple. So if you're designing for somebody and you, first of all, you don't just say, I want to design and you start designing. You have to like have communication skills and the ability to understand what the client actually wants. So when you guys are finished discussing and you understand what they want, you can now know under what color schemes am I putting them under. Is this brand falling under the warm colors, or is it falling under the cool colors, or does it have a touch of both worlds, right? So if you know where this color falls, then you'll be able to select, right? So the color wheel is a useful tool for selecting harmonious color combinations. So understanding color relationships and creating color schemes for art design and other creative projects. All right. So now let's go into what we call color harmony. Color harmony. So color harmony refers to the visual appealing combination of colors that creates a sense of cohesion, right? Cohesion and balance. So it is based on the way colors interact with each other and the emotions they evoke. So there are several principles for color harmony, and I'm going to start with the first one, which is called monochromatic. All right, so let's start work. So the first one I have here, so we are working on color harmony. Color harmony, and the first one on our list is monochromatic. So when we say monochromatic, what comes to mind? Mono. Mono means one. So monochromatic is different shades of the same color. Different shades of the same color. You can see them here now in this color that I have here. You can see yellow with different shades, different shades of that particular color. So there are some brands when designing for them, we stick with monochromatic. As you can see, this design here we did can be can be represented monochromatic because what we mostly see here is purple with different shades of it. Even though we have like pink, like as an accent on it, but it's kind of a monochromatic design with a single color. So let's say we want to create a monochromatic color scheme, right? So let's use the website where I talked about Adobe Color. So here we have color wheel, extracting, right? Extract gradient and accessibility. So here, you can drop a picture in here and it will turn it into a color theme for you. This is what I mean. So let's say we drag this and drop in here. So you see, I just dragged that picture in here and it created a color palette for me. Now these codes that you see down here, #71073, that is the color code. The color code of this purple. This is the color code of this. So if I should go into my color draw, right? Let me copy this code. If I should go into my color draw and draw a box, right, and go to this interactive fill tool. Now come here, this particular one, uniform fill, and bring this down. I will be able to, if I copy that code here and click enter, it's going to have this color exactly. You can see, it's going to give me this color exactly. So we have this color exactly. So that's what the extracting is. So even a gradient can be created also with it. So you can see give me 3 gradients, 6 kind of gradients from the pictures that is there. All right. So but what we're here is for our color wheel. All right. So I said the first color we are going with is monochromatic. Now you can see it here, monochromatic. So that is a particular color but with different shades on the color wheel, right? So the main color here is this, and we have this other one. So when selecting colors like this, you can decide to like change the tint of the color. So if I change this color now, you see everyone has their own shade. So meaning when you're designing, let's say your background is this color. If you want to bring any other thing into the design, the colors should not be more than these other colors that you have here. But black and white can also come into play. But if you're going for a monochromatic kind of design, you should stick to a particular color. For example, when we did that stuff, so you see it. When I created that orange background, let's go back to our file. This one. If you look here now, we have something like brown and still have orange. So that kind of design fall under monochromatic. All right. So if I wanted to use green instead, this is the kind of green I'm going to use. And I can still change their colors if I want. All right. So now let's copy. I'm going to go to this purple. So we are going to create this box inside of our own. So everybody's going to try this out. You try monochromatic here in Adobe Color. So let's say you meet out your client and ask what color do you think will work with your brand and stuff like that. And they tell you purple or red or green, and we are going for like monochromatic. You ask them, are we using like two colors? They say no, just one. So if they say one, it doesn't mean that you should just pick only one color. All right. So you can come here and just select one color, and it will give you other kind of shades of that particular color. So if you're looking for what to use as the black, this is what we can use. Now we can still change the tint. So when you're selecting these colors, most times two or more or three colors shouldn't be like so vibrant. Others should be like a bit faint or dull, right? As you can see, here is dull and here is dull. So if you want to like change the tint of this one, you can say, okay, select this. If you change, or a darker one, right? So whatever one is okay for you. So you are the designer. You're the one that can arrange how you want your colors should look like, right? So let's create a monochromatic color palette. So we call the most of these stuff, we call them a color palette. So how many boxes do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so I'm going to like make 5 boxes. So I wouldn't keep a space in between them also. So I'm moving the airlines also. I don't need them. Let me leave it for now. So I'll copy the color code name. If I copy this code, I come in here and I go to my interactive fill tool and paste that code. I will have that color. Go back, copy, So if we are classifying this, we classify it under monochromatic. All right, a monochromatic color. That's what I'm going to classify it as. So yeah, let's say a simple example now. Let's say maybe Google. Google is purple. Let's say maybe Google is purple. You know, the Google color, the Google brand is just colors. So if I break it, Control K, so I can easily select the colors from here. But if I'm not sure, I can use my color eyedropper, copy this. Right. So with this, I can easily create a logo for somebody with just using one color, right? Let me select the colors here. So with the same, with just this color guide, we can use it and create one particular logo or whatsoever. So this is what we mean by monochromatic. All right. So you can see that I designed the logo, but the colors I use are the same kind of, but different shades. So this way it makes your job easier. So you don't have to think too much on what colors you should use. Okay, I've selected this color. What other color can I use that is going to work out with the same? All right. So we'll move over to the next one, which is called analogous. So analogous, that's what that's called. ANALOGOUS. All right. So what differentiates analogous from monochromatic is that analogous are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So if you look at the color wheel closely, you realize blue, green, and yellow are like opposite neighbors, right? They are close to each other. So when designing, you select colors that are close to each other on the color wheel. Instead of going from here to here, these ones that are close, you can select this blue, select this green, and select this yellow, and decide to use that as your color. Now, let's go back to our Adobe and see our own example of analogous. See that spread. So these are colors that are close to each other on that particular color wheel. So I might decide to change. Let's check another area. So they kind of look like, what do I call it? Monochrome sometimes. But it's because if you place it on the same kind of family, so when you spread it in between two of them, you'll be able to get like two different kind of colors. That is our analogous, baby. All right. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy this code and fill them up. Okay, understanding the step, I'm using to copy this stuff. You just come here, click copy, click the box, but your tool should be at interactive field too. Then uniform field. You can click here down and fill this. And finally, the last one. So those numbers you're seeing, as like I said before, they are called X codes, right? They are called X codes. So look at this green and purple now. See how it might not really be working well. Or if I should bring in blue, which is on the this thing, you're going to see how beautiful it's going to look like. So they are opposite colors on the color wheel, and they work hand in hand. I'll leave this like this. So these are analogous colors that are different, but they are close to each other on the color wheel. So that is green and blue. They are on the color wheel together. All right. The next one we'll be doing is the one we call complementary colors. Complementary colors. So they are colors that complement themselves on the color wheel. Complementary colors. So what are complementary colors are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. All right. Let's look at our color wheel again. When we say opposite, like opposite neighbors. If you look at blue, is looking at orange, right? You can see that yellow is looking at purple. But let's say you say, okay, for this design, I want to go with a complementary color, and you selected green. You're going to look for what color is looking directly at green on the color wheel, which is color red, right? You can create a palette out of that, color palette out of that. That is what so opposite on the color wheel. So if we check our color wheel here and look for complementary, this complementary, you can see it. This place is facing here. All right, so you can select what last. So in complementary is just two colors, right? Just two colors. So they will now create a shade from both of them. So this is orange, and this is a policy. But I don't understand whether they will be in a WhatsApp group. They are not seeing what we are saying. Why will you come to WhatsApp group? You are not seeing messages people have sent. They are asking for recording of 3 classes. I said colors that opposite each other, right? So here we have orange. So we're selecting from orange, and they will give us like a little darker shade of the orange. Then also kind of a sky blue. So I want to change that. I don't want to really use that. So that's another one. Let's custom complement again. So look at this. Wow, I like this color. I think I've used this particular color for a design before. You see how green and orange is looking beautiful. Now the green and orange or red you are seeing on your computer might not be this particular one, right? But that is why to use a color wheel is advised, because they give good colors that would come out well in your design. Here you have it, complementary. So let's take this ones. So they are opposite on the wheel. So people that are facing themselves directly, opposite neighbors, we call that a complementary color. I'll be using, I think I'll use the both bright colors, yes. So even though you have a full palette, you can just stick with only just two, right? Only just two colors from the palette, then these ones can work in other areas. You can see that no matter the colors we selected, because of we have a color palette, we are able to like select good colors that is going to work for this same kind of brand. But it's not, it doesn't mean that every color here might work for Google. I'm just using Google all through. So if Google was another kind of brand, uh, if it was not this particular one, they might be checking out other colors. So we have color harmony that we call triadic, Triadic. So from the word triadic, it means 3 points, all right? So equal distant colors from each other on the color wheel, right? So three colors that are distant from each other on the color wheel. So here we have triad, you can see it. So the measurements here is the same spacing between this one, the same spacing between this one. So if you are putting three colors, you see we have three major colors, 1, 2, 3. This one are just their accents. So if I move them around, three major colors from the color wheel. All right, so let's use this. Let me try out the three colors on this one. Let's see. This way is going to allow me. Yeah. So you can see I used three colors and it still came out well, right? Reason being that the all they all work on the color wheel, right? So this triadic using three kind of colors. Even under the triadic, I might still choose to use only two out of them, right? I use another one maybe for another background or stuff like that. Then there's a split complementary, all right? So this is a color paired with two colors on either side of this complementary color. Somebody's talking. Manuel, your mic is on. Am I trying to say something? It is how they talk. Okay, let's get back to what we were saying, guys. All right, so what do we call this one? I said split complementary. As you can see, even though I'm just doing this, I'm trying to arrange it. All right, so if everything we are doing, please always maintain arrangement. Always maintain arrangement. Split complementary. So it's just like this complementary color, but they are splitted, right? We said a color paired with two colors on either side of its complementary. So let's say blue, then yellow, green, and orange, red, right? So if you check it here, I hope they have split complementary here. Yeah, split complementary. So you are going to select one because normally complementary are just two colors facing each other. All right. But when you're talking about split complementary, one of the colors is going to be singular, then the other one is going to be splitted into two, going to be divided. So look at it here. When I split complementary, this one is divided into two. So instead of having this normal complementary colors, is divided into two. I'm going to change the color, so I don't want to use the same one as before. I like this color. This color mainly is used for like schools. It like you work with like children. They are creating like children or ice cream kind of fun kind of color. So you can check them out if you are doing stuff like that. So we'll still explain colors and their meaning. For now, let's just explain all these types of color type that we have. And now you can copy and paste them. So I've done enough copying and pasting by now for you to know what actual tool I'm clicking to do all this. So you just copy and you fill it in. For instance, now somebody might ask, what's your brand color? And you say, it's green, it's lemon green. But if you look inside of here, there is a whole lot of green. What actual green? Right? So this is where X codes come into play. X codes help us to select the actual color that you were trying to use. See how you're looking on black and white. It's popping. So these colors, if you test them on black and white, test them on white, they'll still work perfectly. Then I think we are on the last one. The last one, which is tetradic. So it is a pair of two complementary colors. But I don't think they have tetradic here. That's the problem. Okay. That's call it square. So a pair of two complementary colors. So in case you don't understand what I'm saying, we said complementary colors are two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel, right? So this is one that is opposite each other. This is another one that's opposite each other, right? So we call that tetradic. So that's for four. So I just say tetradic. So that means four colors at once that have major stick. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is just an extra tint, right? So we can change it. So we have this. Okay, let's copy color types. Let's see how we can share this. So you can see the 6 color harmony. First one, we said is monochromatic, which is different shades of the same color. All right. Then we talked about analogous, which is colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Then complementary, colors that are opposite each other on that same color wheel. Then we have triadic, which is color that have the same equal distance between each other. All right, it's the same equal distance. So if you're measuring from here, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. So they have the same distance between each other. Then we now talked about split complementary, right? So when complementary means they are one and two together, right? Split complementary is one will be normal, then the other one at the top will be divided into two. So instead of using violet and yellow, we'll be using violet, yellow green, and yellow orange. Then we now have tetrady, is two pairs of complementary colors, right? So we are going to complement two colors at the same time, which is one and two. So if you are using yellow and violet, blue, green, and red, orange on that design, all right? So now we are going to talk about color psychology. So what is color psychology? So color psychology can evoke emotions, right? And convey specific message. An easy way to do that is, let's say during Christmas, right? You will see red, green, gold almost everywhere, right? You wouldn't see any other colors. So once you see those colors, let's say you are walking on the road right now, being August, and you're seeing the Christmas colors everywhere, like, what is going on? Somebody would definitely ask what is going on, because that color has been tied to a particular color, right? To a particular event. If you're walking on the road and you see people putting on black, you might not even ask. You might say, okay, maybe they are going for like burial and stuff, right? Because these colors have been attached with this. But there are also some brands that uses black for premium, right? Very premium brands like that. You see black and gold, right? What did you say? What kind of people are this? You don't understand what's happening on the screen. Like, what don't you understand? If you're asking question, be precise with your question. Emmanuel, what don't you understand? Thanks. Somebody that asked question, because he does not even understand his own question. So the study of how colors affect human emotions, their behavior, and perception is what we call color psychology. All right. So color meanings. Now, when you see red, you're talking about energy, passion, love, or danger. Energy, passion. So if you're looking at, let's say, the brand Coca-Cola, let's use Coca-Cola as an example. If you see what Coca-Cola is pushing, which is joy, all right. So when you see Coca-Cola, what comes to your mind is youthfulness, yes, happiness. So that is why they went for like color red, which is like captivating, which brings happiness. They also relate their brand with Santa Claus, right? Because of the color, the passion, the love that red stands for. So even no matter what anybody talks about, Coca-Cola being having too much sugar and stuff, when you are watching Premier League, before the halftime, you will see a small advert of Coca-Cola. Enjoy Coca-Cola while watching a football match. Reason being that the color evokes happiness. Right. So when you're watching or you are tired, you are sweating, the first thing that comes to your mind is to get a bottle of a chilled Coke. All right. So orange brings warmth, right? Creativity, enthusiasm, playfulness. All right. So when everywhere is kind of bright, you are kind of want to like play, enthusiasm. So if you get into a room that is very dark, you might not be able to like showcase your face there, what you want to do. But when you get to a room that is bright, right, showing brightness, cheerfulness, that's where orange comes in. So when you understand these colors and what they stand for, it will be easy for you to select what particular color to use for this design. All right. As you also know, yellow can be for happiness, also optimism, hope, or even sunshine. All right. Then if you're going to blue, going towards trust, loyalty, wisdom, calmness. That's why most tech companies would choose to use blue. So if I say tech brand color, you realize there is almost blue everywhere, blue almost everywhere. So when you want to design for a client, most times we ask them, what industry is your brand in, right? So when you ask them, they say, okay, we are in the music, we are in this, we are in that. So with that, it's easy. All you need to do is just search. You just Google and you search, okay, what are the brands in agriculture? Then when you see agriculture, you're going to see colors that has to do with that brand. So let's say agriculture brand. Um, agriculture brand. You start seeing green, right? Green and yellow. And so the problem with most persons why they can't select the right colors is because they don't make research, right? So when you make research like this, you will even see color palette of other brands, right? Then you can say, okay, you can copy the image, bring it into your Canva, you draw a box, and you can actually copy this color, right? Using your color eyedropper. So if you're not sure what colors to use or how to select these particular colors using the Adobe, you can just make research on brand colors for that particular sector that you're working in. And you have gotten a beautiful color that you can use for a design at that point. All right. You can see instead of the color, what it is just one, two, and the background as green. So we said blue stands for trust and loyalty, wisdom and calmness. White purple can be used for luxury. All right. So let's see. If you say luxury brands, let's say purple in there. Look at violet, purple, black, gold, and stuff. So stuff you have to use like let's say security brands. You see kind of blue is kind of there, but that's what tech. But if you're talking about strongness, agility, you definitely see brown around somewhere, brown and red somewhere. If you're talking about people who do logistic, you will find brown around somewhere, brown around somewhere. Reason being that it tells you about reliability, about how strong the brand is, right? How you can trust them. Looking at DHL, it's like orange and yellow, but tilting towards the brown color. Then if you're going towards gray, you're talking about neutrality, balance, sophistication, or even boredom, right? But for black, black can represent various kinds of things. It is very rare for most brands to go for black, but black brands, you check them, They are mostly like top brands like Adidas, Nike, Sony. So this kind of brands now, they are kind of representing power, elegance, all right, depth, or even mystery. Right? While white we stand, as we all know, for purity, innocence, cleanliness, and simplicity. So color effects. So warm colors like red, orange, and yellow can stimulate and energize. While cool colors like blue, green, and purple can calm and soothe you. So bright colors do what? They grab your attention and they what evoke emotions. While dark colors can create a sense of seriousness and luxury. So color in marketing. How do we use colors in marketing? So we use colors that align with our brand personality and message. That's why I say, as a designer, before you start designing, you have to ask the clients, what personality are they trying to bring out? Are they trying to like, is it for children? Is it for male or female? Is it for everyone? Like what age range? What demography are you trying to capture? Right? With all this, so this is what differentiates you from every other designer. Some people might just meet their designer and tell them what they want, and the designer just start designing. But when you start asking all these questions, it makes the job easier, meaning you understand from the client perspective, not just that you want to just design, you understand what the client is going through, what the client wants their brand to talk about. All right. So you also consider their cultural differences in color meaning. So some countries, white might mean pure. In another tradition, white might mean evil. All right. So you have to like understand the culture. What culture is this selling this market to? Is it an African culture? Is it to the whole world? Is it a global culture? All right. Then you have to use color contrast to draw attention and create visual interest. So keep in mind that color psychology is not an exact science, and individual association with colors can vary. So, however, understanding the general effects and meaning of colors can help you make informed design and marketing decisions. So, how do we create harmonious colors? Right, that is color harmony. How do we do that? Creating harmonious color palettes. A harmonious color palette is a selection of colors that work well together to create a visually appealing effect. All right. If you look at how the colors were selected together to work together, you can see that they worked it together, right? They are working together. They are not looking at like contradicting each other. So you have to first of all select colors that work together. And how do you select them? By using the color harmony rule. Instead, you are going for a monochromatic color. You're going for analogous, complementary, triadic, split complementary, or you're going for a tetradic kind of color selection. All right. Um, Principles of color harmony, you have said that. Monochromatic, which is different shades of the color. Analogous colors, colors next to each other on the wheel. Complementary color, colors opposite each other on the wheel. Split complementary, a color paired with the two colors on either side of its complementary color. Then we have triadic, which is the ones that have equal space between each other. Then finally, tetradic, two pairs of colors. So we're going to do a practice right now. So we'll choose a base color and select the principal color harmony. Whether we are going for analogous or complementary, then we'll use color wheel to identify the colors that fit into this principle. So experiment with different shades and tints of the color. Then we'll move on. All right. So we'll use like kind of this kind of arrangement that these guys have here. So let's go for let's say maybe a tech brand. Let's say technology. Now, an easy way to select colors most times, you can select colors from the pictures. All right. So I'm going to copy this image since we don't have any logo that we design here. This is what you download the picture, place it in your page like this. All right, let's design a quick logo for this thing. What are we going to call it? Let's see. I'm thinking of a name. God. Let's call it Trust Tech or Trust Tech. Yes. So let's say the brand name is Trust Tech. So if I want to create a simple logo from this, I will just maybe use the letter T, the two-letter T that we have there. What that in mind might not work. Just hold on. All right. So the idea I had behind blending this stuff is if you're conversant with coding, you know about the open brackets and close brackets that they use for designing. That's stuff like this, these two brackets, right? So I'm going to use like the letter T, both of them. So I'll weld them together, and I don't want the color inside. I'm going to let me try capital letters. So now we are not giving it a color yet. Now let's say I want to select a color for this brand. Now I've made my research and I find out that most technology colors have blue, and purple and stuff everywhere. So instead of coming here and just selecting blue here, I can, like our rule said, we should either go for analogous or complementary. All right, I'm going to like create a box for 5, or empty box. All right. So what we want to create now is a color palette for this brand. All right, the color palette. That is the color that this brand is going to be using. Now we can easily just use our color eyedropper and select the colors we have here on this screen, right? From the picture, the colors on the picture, we can select colors from there. All right, so if I'm going for an analogous color, so if I select I don't really like it, yeah. If I copy the X code, let me say I want to go for an analogous color. So I want to change the color. So if I should input that code here, you see that the first one is the main color. So from this picture that I downloaded, I've picked a color. So if I'm not comfortable with that color, I can go closer, find another kind of blue, maybe this one, but I'm not really liking it. The same way I can come inside here and select my stuff here, Control C, come back here and input it. It's going to change and give me accents of other colors, right? So I can just easily copy this one. Then to fill these other ones, I'm going to copy that color. So it makes my job more easier. Now this is for if the brand is going for an analogous color. Now we have a color palette that we can use from this stuff. Now let's say I'm not using this, all right? Like I showed you in the beginning, I said we can easily export a color. The image you have, you just export it into so I will drag this picture. So I'll drag the picture in here. I think this is a more perfect color. If you want the colorful, if you say just bright, the muted ones, deep colors, dark, none. I prefer this colorful. So let's copy it and go back to color. As simple as that, you have created a color palette. All right. So now you won't just end here. you would have to now give this color palette names. All right, you have to give them names. So we mean instead of just typing blue, you give them names. So whenever you are designing and you're clicking on objects, right, always look down here. So if you look down here, you will see the name of the color, whether an RGB or a 3 or a X codes, right? So I've shown you what X codes are. These codes here are X codes. So we can easily just copy the code here, right? Simply copy it, then type and paste it. And place it on the color, right? So that the clients would know their color code. Now, if you don't want to go here to keep copying it, right? Let's say you didn't copy it from there and you want to just use the color, you want to just know the color code immediately from here. An easy way to do that is to just tap the particular object. So let's say I click on this one, right? This one, I want to know its color code. When I click on it, I'm seeing the code here, 0E0A73. I will now have to come and type it here. 0E0 blah 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 blah. Now that might be more stressful, right? Instead of just copy and paste. So another way is to click on the box, come to here, interactive field 2, then tap this arrow down and just copy the code here. Control C, go back to your text and highlight and fill it up, right? So the same thing, you tap here, go to the interactive field 2, click on the field color, copy the code, Control C, then you can come back to your text and fill it up. It's as simple as that. So that in case you're not the one designing for the client again in the future, and another designer wants to design, they can easily look at their brand guide and know the color that works with the brand. There is no way that these people are going to be designing that they are going to design with yellow. Possible, it's not possible. All right. So that is how we get our X codes. Now, apart from the X code, we can also, if the clients, there are some clients that will ask for RGB, ask for CMY key also. So you can get the CMY key of the color. Let's see here. RGB is not here. But we have RGB here. So if I click here, I'm going to say RGB here. So the red, RGB stands for red, green, and blue. All right. So like I told you from the beginning, on-screen design is good with RGB, right? Then if you're doing them off-screen, you can go with CMYK. That's when they are printing. But for on-screen, it's RGB. So the red, green, and blue is 24, 14, 89. So that's what I mean. In case I draw this box and I go, what color? And I type here 24, 18, I think it's 29. 24, 14, 89, sorry. 1489. It's the same color with this. You can see 24, 1489. So if you start working as a designer and you start working with web designers, web developers, they won't be asking you what is the color, what is the color. They'll be asking you what is the X code. Right? They might not even ask you for RGB, they might ask you for X codes. So it's with X codes you can give them. Now the thing is that you can just place 2 for the client most times to avoid wildlife for the ones that still need RGB. So because with only X code, you can get everything. So for RGB, say as if I click here, 24, 14, 89. Or if you want, you can come back here again. But the thing is that you can't copy like this. It's only one you can copy. You can't copy everything here. So you have to type it yourself. 24, 18, no, 24, 14, 89, 24, 14, 89, and the x code is 18 of here. So let's duplicate for every other one. All right, so if you're doing yours, make sure it's arranged properly. So since this place is very dark, I will just copy. I will click on my text and ask them to have the color of this one. Okay. Edit, copy properties from just the fill, okay, so that you can read it properly. So we've done for this one, the color is 14, 10, 115. So we just come here also, 14, 10, 115. Then we have 42, 38, 166. Then 9, 12, 64. Sixty-one, 24, 2224. That's all. So now that we have these colors now, we now can possibly give our design a color. Right? So I can choose to like make it this color. Or let's use this primary color here. So for this one, you can choose to go for a single color, or we can mix colors now. Here is how we mix colors, really transparent color. You click on the object and click F11 on your keyboard. So this is still an airline set. Want to convert. So let's say object, convert outline to object. If I click on F11, I can tap here and select another extra color. Right, so now I'm having two colors. So let me do that again. So this was just an airline before. If I give it a color, you see a color inside, right? But I don't want that. What I want is a color outside, right? So I increase the airline to like, let's say 8. All right. So I have to convert the outline to an object as we've been doing. So object, convert outline to objects. So now the field, currently this is the field. So I should copy. All right, that's the field. So now I want to mix the color. It should be two colors, not just one. Then I'll click F11. F11. Now we have single colors. You can see you're seeing blue here, you're seeing white. So now that means blue is selected already. Now to give another color here, you have to tap on this box and come down here. Then use your color eyedropper and copy any of the colors you prefer. So I'm going to just use this one. Then we can rotate here. And when you are okay with it, you just click OK. All right. So we'll be creating an arrangement for this. Using white. Then so for this one, I'll be mixing white and so down here I can create like app icons. Let's see how this will work on top of all this. So if we say this one has this color.
I don't know. Me and my so if people ask a question, they try to explain. I say, you may just say, what you gonna test? And then I never put my ear. Unless I come the year, think I say, just to come, yeah, as every time, say sometimes every day, over. Say, say, tell us anytime where kids, like kids, yes, sir. The room is loaded. What is it? Over. I think the question, say, go maybe now, if you don't bring food, so maybe they start.
All right. So I'll give this one. Let's use one of the accent colors also. So we can test it out on it. So what we used here was monochromatic, all right? So we use monochromatic for this brand that we just create out of the blue. I want to add something. Let's say tech do. There's something called do background. But I taught you what was power clip yesterday. We'll quickly do another with power clip here. So I'll make this background transparent, right? Transparent background. So how do I do that? There is a transparency tool here, which is transparency tool. So I think we're still going to do deeper exploration of Corel Draw. And by tomorrow, I want to. I've not really taught you how to draw lines properly and other tools. So by when we display exploration of Corel Draw, and we'll touch on those other ones. But to transparent an item, I'll click on this picture, transparency, and here we have uniform transparency. And I'll make it like 93%. So I can power clip it inside of this. So it's grouped. No, no, this do. So the color code, the kind of color harmony we used to achieve this was monochromatic. So monochromatic meaning what? Using different shades of the same color. All right. Essentially, so this is blue, but these are other shades of blue, right? For the particular brand. So instead of when you use blue, you now start thinking of, will I just stick to only this color? What other colors can I bring in to like make this brand work, right? So this is monochromatic. So if you can't design a simple logo, you can just type letter A for me, all right? So because I want you to really do this now, you can see that I use technology. Now you might not use for this for people that like to use do different, all right? It's agriculture, so it's like a farmland. So you can select colors from this stuff. Let's say I save this image. Most of these pictures I don't want to save. Let me copy it. So if your picture is not saving, you can copy and then export it and say agree. Now, like I said, you can either use your color picker to start selecting your colors one after the other. All right. Or let's say this is just it. So let's say we want to do for this agriculture one. So I can simply go back to this my Adobe color stuff, then just drag the agri inside. And as simple as that, it has given us a new color that we can work with. All right, so I can just go back here, copy these colors, fill them in, go back again. If you get an image and you say, okay, this image is what inspiring me to design, fine. See that the former colors now are not really working with the design because this is like a different brand entirely. Let me just find an icon, got your icon. All right, I'm going to use this. So let's say I'm using this picture as my logo. I'm going to just quick trace. Let's call this one agro world. So we might just say this two should be this color. All right, why this one is I can duplicate this and place here. Now, mind you, this is not how to design a logo. All right, there are a lot of steps. So when we start learning how to design a logo, I'll teach you how to come up with your own kind of logo. All right, so you can see the difference. So I've just created two just now, so it's not really that hard. So also the color I used here was monochromatic, all right? So you can change it. Not changing here. So from colorful, go to the color wheel, whether we say we want to use analogous. See that he's going to use that kind of thing. If you want a gradient and stuff like that. So it's as easy as that. Then you would now have to now start changing the X codes, right? So we have our X code, Control C. This is like a wonderful color you can use for any design you want. 167198. 217. 7989. So 211 1748. 191183. And the last one, 242227. 713. And voila, you have created another magic. Let me get agricultural do. I just like to add this stuff most times. I want to calculate it inside this one instead. as light as possible. So just like that, we have done for Trust Tech and Agro World using monochromatic. I don't think this one is monochromatic. It's kind of like tetradic or maybe split complementary. Let's check on the color wheel. You see that? Okay, this one is analogous. I think the second one is analogous. Green is very close to yellow on the color wheel, but it's still kind of green. So here's what I want you to do. You're going to recreate something like this, but with a different brand entirely. All right, different color. You might still go for technology. Like, let me name it. Instead of putting this in there, technology color palette. 100. This is the spelling for palettes. Right, so it's agriculture. So you can even go for food, maybe like chef, somebody that cooks, cooking industry or whatever, or perfume or luxury, stuff like that. Then this one, if everybody can't create, so if everyone, if most of you find that last one difficult to create, you should create something like this: a monochromatic color, analogous, complementary, triadic, and the others. Then with this other few ones. So let me export it. Documents. The four color harmony. Let's see. One. So you just try, just create only one. Though I created two, I created one out of this. But this first one is compulsory, and this one you create one out of this. So yesterday I tried sending that stuff via mail, via to my drive, but it wasn't working out. I'm going to try again to send it to people who have their mail. Just expect it. I'll see you tomorrow.